If you clicked on this video, I assume you're hard stuck in ranked. Well, don't worry, because in this video, I'm going to give tips that you need in order to push up to higher ranks. Whether you're in Diamond, Mythic, Legendary, or even Masters, this video will have tips that help you improve in key aspects of the game, including draft, gameplay, and knowledge, which will help you push up in ranks and who knows, maybe even reach pro rank. Alright, so starting off with the first tip, this actually takes place before even going into a ranked game. In my opinion, one of the most important things you need to be doing is ensure you have both a combination of meta brawlers, but also brawlers you're comfortable with playing leveled up. Now, most other people may just say, well, level up all the best brawlers in the game, level up the top 10 most meta brawlers in the game. Well, while it is true you do need to have some of these best brawlers leveled up, I would highly suggest it's not worth investing your resources in all of these brawlers, and it would actually have a much bigger impact if you upgrade some you specifically are really good at playing, even if that means they aren't at the top of the meta. Take me for example. Some of my most played brawlers up in Masters 3 and Pro Rank lobbies are brawlers like Hank and Globert. These brawlers are nowhere near top of the meta, but since I'm very comfortable with playing these brawlers, I can play these brawlers a lot better than some of the top meta brawlers, like Pierce for example. Pierce is easily a top 5 brawler in the game, but I myself am not very good with a sniper brawler, so I personally do not pick Pierce, and I would be much better at playing some of these other brawlers, even if they aren't top of the meta. It's also important to remember that a lot of these top meta brawlers will actually often end up getting banned in the ranked games anyway. So, for example, right now, Surge and 8-Bit, these brawlers are getting banned every single game and are rarely actually even able to be played in a ranked match if you're above Legendary. So it may not even be worth investing in them at all, since, well, you might not ever even get to play them. However, it is still definitely important to make sure you at least have a few of these top meta brawlers leveled up, because there may be the rare instance where you have first pick on your team and one of them may slip through the ban phase. In that case, you want to ensure you are able to pick it up if you have first pick. Alright, we're going to be talking about the draft now. So for this next tip, you need to be thinking ahead when drafting your brawlers. Some brawlers such as Edgar, who may be very strong, do have a lot of counters, which can completely shut them down in the draft. So you really need to think about what brawlers are still open and what it's likely that enemies are going to pick if you go a certain brawler. You should not base your picks solely off what the enemies have already drafted. You need to think about what brawlers are open that they could be thinking about last picking to try and counter your comp. You can even use this to your advantage and then draft brawlers that they would have wanted to go. For example, in Knockout, if the enemies are early picking a Mortis and let's say Kit is open, well, you see that they are likely going to want to be going a Kit Mortis comp. You yourself could go with a tank or assassin and then pair that with a Kit yourself. And then that kind of messes up the enemy's draft while also giving you a really good draft for yourself. And now this kind of goes along with my next tip here. You need to be suggesting your teammates brawlers. Now this tip may only be for Legendary and above or so, because down in like Mythic, Diamond, people likely aren't going to listen to your suggestions and they'll just pick random stuff. However, if you are in like Legendary or above, it's really important to suggest people brawlers. If they clearly aren't really too sure what to go, you should be suggesting, especially if you're the highest elo in the lobby. You may not think it, but suggesting brawlers can really help people out. I myself often suggest brawlers. In fact, every single game I think, I am suggesting my teammates brawlers, which can actually really help out with our draft, because sometimes people may be a little stuck and not too sure what to pick. Heck, even me, sometimes people suggest me stuff, and, you know, I realize, hey, that's a really good suggestion, I'm going to pick it. So, suggesting can really help your team, and allow you to get a way better draft than if they were to just pick something on their own, because they may not be too sure what to go. Now, I'll also give a tip here for the lower ranks, so Legendary 1 or below, I'd say. Down here, obviously, your teammates won't really be listening to suggestions, and they'll kind of just pick random brawlers, like whatever stuff they want to go. So, down here, I'd say you want to be drafting hard carry brawlers. One of the best brawlers for this, in my opinion, would be Fang. Fang is just very good at the lower ranks. He's able to just chain through people. People don't know not to group up against him. And he can just easily win you your games down there. Even on my mini account, which I believe is down in, like, Legendary, I've lost quite a few times to an enemy Fang because my randoms down there don't know not to group up. So Fang just absolutely destroys us down there. You know, so basically all your assassin hard carry brawlers are going to be really, really good picks down in Legendary 1 or below, I would say. Alright, I'm just going to slide this one in here really quickly before going on to the actual gameplay tips here. This one, it may be really surprising, but in my opinion, this is a very, very important one. Pushing early season. In my opinion, you need to try and push as much as possible in the early season, because the later it gets in a season, I find the worse and worse the randoms get. Now, myself, I often give myself this goal of reaching Masters 1 within the first week of a new season. Because typically what I find is, if I don't get out of Legendary within that time, it actually gets pretty difficult, because the randoms just get really, really bad if you wait too long in the season, and it will make it really difficult to get out of there. So, in my opinion, definitely aim for Masters within the first week of a new season. Okay, so we're going to move on to the actual gameplay tips here to help you actually improve your gameplay and outskill your opponents. So, one which is very important at the beginning of a match is choosing the correct lane. You want to look at the enemy's comp and compare it to your comp, right? And you want to be going on the lane that you have the best matchup for. So if the enemy spawns on the right side, let's say they have a Dynamite on the right side and you're a Mortis on the left side, you want to be moving over to the right lane at the start of the match so you have that good matchup for you and that you're able to win the lane. Winning lanes is a very, very important and crucial thing to getting control of the map, especially in certain maps, such as Undermine, where obviously you've got these two very prominent singled out lanes on the side, where if you're able to take both lanes at the start of the game, you're able to easily spawn trap the opponents the entire match, basically. Whereas if you lose your lanes at the start, you're going to get spawn trapped the entire game, which can lose you the entire match, basically. Even if you lose your lanes partway through the match, let's say you're up 9-0 gems, but then you suddenly lose all your lanes and are pushed all the way back into spawn. I've had this happen to me many times, where even though we're up so many gems, we still lose, because we lose our lanes that one time, they spawn trap us, and then we're basically unable to push back up for the entire game, and they're able to just get all 10 gems. Now, another thing to do with lanes here that's very important is swapping lanes. A lot of randoms may not know about swapping lanes because they rarely seem to want to do it, but it is very, very important. So, if you end up getting bad matchups at the start, you want to look to swap lanes with your teammate as soon as possible, basically. But you don't just want to completely abandon the lane, you know, because then the enemy can just push up and have that lane for free. So, if maybe one of your teammates wins a lane, then you can take that as an opportunity to swap lanes and get a better matchup, basically. Now, in higher elo lobbies, this will be very common, and there probably will be a lot of lane switching going on. You've got to keep up with this and make sure you're basically on your best matchups throughout the majority of the match. Because if you're on your best matchups, you're going to be winning constantly, and you're going to be doing good. Okay, another very important tip during the gameplay is game sense. You need to know what's going on in the game and what the enemies are likely going to be doing. So an easy way to explain this would be, let's say the enemy team has a Leon, and you see that the Leon has his super charged up, but he walks off screen. Well, you know that he's likely going to be popping that invisibility and trying to sneak up on you or your team. So you need to constantly be on guard, and basically you need to try and predict where he's going to go when he's invisible. You should not be wasting all your ammo shooting his other teammates. You need to save your ammo so that you're ready and able to shoot him, you know, when he pops up out of nowhere. You also need to know when to push up the map or when it's best to fall back. So a very common thing for this is in parallel plays where obviously you've got the top zone and you've got the bottom zone. When you kill the enemy brawler who's coming on offense, then your defenders should take that as an opportunity to push up the map. They shouldn't just sit back, stay in that bottom zone. They need to be pushing up the map so that you can try and spawn trap the enemies and easily secure the top zone. Then once that's done, you can then fall back and get your own zone. For those of you who made it to the end of the video, I'm going to give you one last tip here, which, funnily enough, is actually very prominent. Once you push up into these higher ranks, once you're getting up there, going towards pro, this tip is actually very important. You may not believe it, but try not to shoot at your random teammates too much. I know it can be hard, it's frustrating when they make a bad play or something and it gives the enemies a free goal or something like that, but try not to shoot at your teammates, because a lot of the randoms in ranked will just immediately then just go sit in the corner. They'll just give up if they get shot at, I know it's very silly and something like that shouldn't be in the, competitive game mode, but unfortunately, players in ranked are like that. So try not to shoot at your teammates too much. So that's going to be it for this video. If you found any of these useful, hey, why not leave a like, maybe even subscribe. And if you have any questions, comment them down below. I'll try to reply to every question I get, So yeah. Also, let me know if you're someone who watches my other videos. Let me know if you like this kind of video. Maybe I'll do them more often. So yeah, see you guys in the next video.